What makes this Rangers team coming in so dangerous? And
you want to run up the comparison?
That would be great. Let's pull in the comparison now just to give people a little bit of context of what we're talking about here. Nice graphic there, Brad.
Thank you, sir.
So right now we just want to do a little bit of comparison with what we're dealing with and just why we're bringing this up. Team average, kind of similar, but the Rangers, that's the third best average in baseball. Their slugging is also third. Team ERA, you're seeing similar, but what's the biggest difference right there? Can anyone read or look at numbers correctly? Gavin, I know you can.
1-run games, Ryan.
There you go.
1-run games.
So it kind of correlates, right? Because the Rangers have one of the worst bullpens ERA-wise in all of baseball.
And that's the clear advantage.
That was the clear advantage there. But also, if you're going to have a lot of one-run games and you're losing them, that probably means you're not closing them out enough, which the Rangers, when they were struggling, that's what happened. So the Orioles advantage them in the situational part. But this is why you want to throw it all out of the playoffs. And this is why, Gav, I want you to explain to listeners here why this Texas team can be so dangerous, because they do have some really good arms.
Yeah, but by the way, the record between the Orioles and Rangers this year is 3-3.
Yep.
I actually thought if there was going to be a team that broke that record as far as not getting swept, I thought it was going to be the Rangers. The way they played them the first two games, and the Orioles squeaked out that last one. So this team is still very, very dangerous.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that their strengths and weaknesses kind of match up with each other. So it'll be interesting to see how it happens. I think the clear advantage goes to Baltimore with the bullpen. I would honestly put Texas's offense higher than Baltimore's. You've got any lineup that has Simeon and Corey Seager in it. I don't care who you're matching up against.
Yeah.
Other than the Braves, I think the Rangers had the most impressive offense in baseball this year. And then you look at starting pitching. I think that the Orioles, I don't know what you're going to get because it's a young starting. You've got Eovaldi, and we'll see what happens with Scherzer, and obviously the way Montgomery just threw the ball for the Rangers. Those guys are veterans that have been in a lot of playoff games, World Series games, and you're going up against a rookie and Bradish, who I don't think obviously hasn't pitched in the postseason well. So, I go clear advantage to the Orioles with the bullpen. I would go advantage to the Rangers with their offense, and I think I would go advantage to the Rangers with their starting pitching.
And that's based really off of experience. And Eovaldi is one of those guys. Jordan Montgomery was lights out the other day.
Lights out.
Yeah. And he's probably going to be ready to go game. He could go game one, but probably for basing it out, the 5-day rest would be him going on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's another part of it. I don't think there's that much of a disadvantage of now playing in the wild card. When it was a one game and you're in or done, you had to, by any means necessary, I thought that put it at a disadvantage. The Rangers are only going to lose one day of their rotation.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, you look at them in Minnesota, and they've got. Minnesota's got Pablo Lopez right back on full rest.
Crazy.
Honestly,
I
think there's an advantage. Like I said earlier, if you win the wild card, I think you have the advantage going into the next series.
It's kind of funny. It's not just with baseball. We saw this. Was it 2-3 years ago? Ravens had a bye week. Lamar's MVP season.
Oh yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Well, yeah, but I thought it was the same type of.
You're exactly right.
Like
you're exactly right.
Just not too much time between reps, and then you kind of lose a little bit.
Well, and the Ravens also, they sat a lot of their starters in the final game of the season.
That's what I'm saying.
And then got the bye, and then got beat pretty bad. Gavin and I were together for that game as well.
We were not in good moods that night.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody
Derrick
was.
Henry over the top kind of threw everybody off.
Saying the advantage feels like it's at an all-time low. That's exactly what we're talking about. It's not like the one game and then the team has to get ready in a day or two.
Yeah.
There's three. Yes, granted, if it went to a best of three, it's less time, but look at this scenario. There was no disadvantage. The only disadvantage was that you needed to win the series to get in, but your team is getting the reps, and that's what Gav's talking about.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, here's the other thing. And obviously playoffs are a little bit of a different atmosphere, and I could be totally off base, but Orioles didn't skip a beat after the All-Star break. So I guess there's something to be said for that.
And there's no doubt that the advantage, the home field crowd in Baltimore will be an advantage. This isn't this isn't going to be the Trop. This place is going to be
no.
It's going to be rocking. It's going to be loud. And I think the young guys are going to feed off of it. You know, Adley played in the College World Series. He won the College World Series, so he's not new to moments like this. You know, they've got plenty of veterans there. I think that home field crowd is really going to be an advantage for them in the first 2 games.
You know, we talk about experience and how that's an advantage, but what about that inexperience of just like unfamiliarity? Like they just don't care.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like there's just where there almost isn't any pressure. And that's kind of how the club's been playing all season, that they've been kind of playing pretty free. And Brandon Hyde was talking to this about SVP earlier about how that's how he's been coaching pretty much this last half of the season, is just like kind of letting them do their own thing.
Yeah.
And then kind of just keeping that throughout the postseason. So like nobody's putting pressure on anybody, kind of keeping things light.
Yeah, I think that in 21, I was able to use kind of the adrenaline and everything to my advantage. I think if you can use it to your advantage, and instead of trying to, you know, some people talk about, I just block it, it's just another game. Well, it's not just another game.
That's bullshit.
You're lying. If you say it's just another game, it's not. But if you embrace it, if you like look around, take it all in, embrace it, enjoy it, and use that to fuel you, then you can do some really special things. But you know, the people that say, it's just another game, it's play it the same. It's not. You can't, because you look around and there's 45,000 people going absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
And but you just embrace it and use it to your advantage.
Yeah, erroneous when it comes to that. Yeah, Game 7 of the World Series, you know what? It's just another game.
Sure.
And I think what people try to differentiate, I'll just say this, is that you have to go out and win the game. Like
right.
it's nothing's changed from the same plan that you have. The only difference is now Game 1 and Game 162, that every game's the same. Playoffs, you're playing for your lives.
Yeah.
We talked about moments. You mess up, something happens, magnify, that could be the season. But you still have to go about it as game by game. How can I just go out there and execute?
Right.
But yeah, I mean,
you can't panic. And you know, some of this stuff that you see in baseball right now is, you know, you saw it yesterday with Toronto. I couldn't believe when they took Berrios out of the game in the 4th inning.
Tie game 0-0.
0-0. He's
0-0.
throwing. He walks the guy that hit 2 home runs the day before. Okay. And, you know, if you asked him, he's probably like, if I walked him, I was fine with it. And then you take him out of the game in the 4th inning when he's throwing an unbelievable game. So I think that you just let the players play. You know, you let the players play. You trust in them, do what got them there, and see what happens. But, you know, I hate to see things change when you get to the postseason, when you put together unbelievable years and then all of a sudden you want to change everything you've done. I
would like to ask you, Ryan.
Who
you got Game 1, Rangers, Orioles?
Oh,
I don't know. Listen, I know that we true honest. Like, even if it is going to be the Rangers, like who you think's who's supposed to be starting?
I think it's going to be Bradish. The
right?
Rangers, it has to be in their line of what they want to end up doing. I'll say this: I don't know who's going to win Game 1, but I will. I'll tell. No. Hey, I'm going to say this: I think it's split going to Texas.
Okay.
I think Texas is going to win a game in Baltimore. I don't want them to win a game in Baltimore. I want Gunnar to hit 3 home runs each game, which I told you about Gunnar. You're welcome, Gav. I hope he balls out.
Yeah.
But I do think this Texas lineup is going to be tough.
Yeah, that's going to give them some problems. I don't think that it's just going to be a walk in the park. I would love to see a sweep, but I just don't see that happening. For me personally, I agree. I think they split here on at home, and then they actually take them on the road, only because the Orioles have a much better record on the road. It's kind of crazy how good the record is away from Camden Yards. So I think that there's even from the advantages that we've also talked about, they're just a great road team. So I think that the Orioles do end up taking the series, but it'll actually be on the road.
Yeah. So since I just got told I was copying out, Gav, who do you have then in Game 1 and beyond?
Oof, I think
the cop out.
I think Game 1 will be Texas, and I think Game 2 the Orioles will win.
Why you got Game 1 on Texas?
I just think that it's going to be it's
Big
going to
stage?
be a lot. It's going to be a lot. I think there's going to be a lot of emotions. I think that there's going to be, you know, I think Texas is going to be just settled in that moment.
Yeah.
But I think they come back out Game 2 knowing exactly what to expect, and I think they win Game 2. And I agree. I think that when they get on the road, I think they'll be more comfortable because I think they'll be able to take, I don't think the crowd's going to affect them too much as a young team. They're so, their clubhouse is great. They're really close to each other, and I think that they win it. They could win 2. I wouldn't be surprised if they won 2 in Texas.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I think it's O's in 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back to Baltimore for Game 5.
Yeah,
I think that of the I was thinking for the longest time about if they played the Rays, that the knowing each other would be a issue, but for all the reasons, Texas had that cold streak. They're past that. They and Corey Seager. I don't think people know how good Corey Seager is.
Yes, they do.
Some people, I don't think they understand like how good of his season he actually had.
Honestly,
I would imagine the Orioles' game plan is you cannot let that guy beat you.
Yeah, I mean, the guy that missed he played 119 games, had less than 500 at bats, and had 33 jacks.
I honestly, even though it was a division opponent, I would have much rather had faced the Rays just because of our record against them, and it's kind of seemed as if the O's had the Rays number all season long.
They did, but everyone was going to have a headache, and for me,
I mean that's why it's playoff baseball. But I'm just saying, if I had to choose between one or the other, it would have been the Rays over the Rangers.
All right. Well, hey, we'll see what happens. Fans, get your aspirin, get your Pepto-Bismol if you're a fan.